Well, a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the typically windy Wollongong. We're here at the Kerryn McCann Athletics Track in the southern regions of Sydney, and we are, sorry, just turn that sound off, for the Illawarra Track Challenge for 2023, the first gold meet on the Nsw calendar for the new year. We've already had some cracking sprinting this afternoon with the heats of the 60 metres, as well as some fast hundreds, which we'll tell you about shortly. But it's going to be a cracking main program here in Wollongong with the New South Wales 60 metre championships and the New South Wales 1 mile championships as well. I'm Matt Whitbread for ANSW, and as usual I'm joined by James Constantine in commentary. Welcome, Jimmy.
Thanks, Matt. It has been a fantastic afternoon so far. Beautiful conditions here. The Opens in particular getting some absolutely perfect tailwinds, 1.8s and 2s for the hundreds thus far. We'll go through some of those results in a little moment's time, but yeah, we're just about to get underway with the first event. It's going to be the women's 60 metre para event. We'll have 4 athletes in that one, and some very well-known names going shortly.
So we'll just have a quick look at the timetable for proceedings this afternoon. This evening we're a little bit behind timetable, but only by 5 or 10 minutes. And as you can see, it's a lot of 60 metre racing, as well as a couple of 400s thrown in there for good measure. And then we'll be into the New South Wales Mile Championships for 2022-23 season. And there's a couple of 3,000 metre races with some quality in them right at the end of the program on what is a busy weekend of athletics around the grounds. Of course, the combined event championships happening in New South Wales and the ACT going on down in Canberra, and the World Cross Country selection trials to be held tomorrow morning, also in the nation's capital at the famous Stromlo cross country course. For anyone who hasn't yet got their tickets or their entry to any of the mass participation races for Bathurst, that's the QR code on screen to sign up. There's races for everyone, from single 2K laps running on the World Championship course all the way to full length World Cross Country events, with the full 10K for the Open, 6K for Masters. If you're a Masters athlete, there's also the opportunity to run the first ever World Masters short course cross country championship. And once we're done, of course, with the World Cross, we'll be back into the domestic season. The Murray Plant Memorial meet will be something special in Melbourne, but up here in Sydney we will have the Sydney Track Classic, Jimmy, which promises to be a cracking night.
Yeah, it certainly will be, and Athletics New South Wales is very excited to have a really big part of the delivery and the operations for this year's Sydney Track Classic. So we're looking after ticketing. Make sure you do get there. Athlete announcements are coming very shortly, but expect all the New South Wales regulars, those who you know and love, to be competing on Saturday the 11th of March.
So turning our attention back to the Illawarra Track Challenge here, and there's the first of our 60 metre races lining up there, which will be the women's 60 metre para event. This was the start list as it was at least yesterday afternoon, Jimmy. Thames and Colley on the inside for the University of New South Wales, Charlize Colwell for Athletics Wollongong, Summer Giddings for the Hills District, and Cybella Wharton of UTS Norths make up the field for the New South Wales 60 metre championship for the para women.
You hear the wind, can't you? It's very strong at the moment. It's coming in gusts. As I mentioned before, we had a 1.8 tailwind for the women's Open 100 metre A race. That was taken out by Victorian Ebony Lane in 11:41. Just a sensational race across the board. There's so many women under 12 seconds today. Monique Quirk came second at 11:56, very close to her PB, and backs up her 11:35 windy performance last week at high velocity. And third was Kaisha Prejcek of UTS North's PB for her of 11:73. So that was the women's Open results. And then the men, an astonishing run, has to be said. Ishmael Duda Kamara, 10:26, smashing his PB, first time under 10:3 for the Sierra Leone national. He actually went to the Rio Olympics for Sierra Leone 2016. I found that out this morning doing a little bit of research. So good to see him seeing career best performances here. Again, we're only in mid-January. Unfortunately, just pulled up with a cramp in the heat of the 60, so we won't see him in the men's Open 60 final, but certainly will walk away from today very happy. Really just dominated that race early on. from Josh Azzopardi, who came second, 10:31, and really the man of the moment in terms of the junior circles around Australia. Sebastian Sultana, he ran 10:37, so not quite as quick as he's gone this season, but really solidifying himself consistently in the 10.3s, which is quite extraordinary at just 18 years of age. So watch for him at World Juniors next year as well.
So just some practice starts happening here, but while we've got a moment before this women's 60 power race gets underway, and excuse the poor graphics, but we've just had the fields decided this afternoon in the heats, and this here is the start list for the women's 60 metre championship final in the Opens to be held later this afternoon. As you can see, some very big names there with Munro and Carley. Sam Geedy's up from living in Melbourne now, but a famous New South Wales sprinting surname as well, with a brother too. And Abby Taddeo, of course, going for a record 7th, I think, New South Wales 60 metre championship. And Monique Quirk just lurking there on the outside.
She's got a sneaky lane draw, hasn't she, Monique, right on the outside, so that the girls won't have much of an idea of what she's doing, but she's certainly the form New South Wales athlete at the moment. So, yeah, Abby going for 7. There is a feature that we did on her, went up on the Athletics New South Wales website yesterday. Great read. She's a fantastic woman off and on the track, and doing some great things with her health and fitness business, and has a really strong mental mindset going into this season, her 11th Open season. Quite extraordinary.
So just turning our attention back to the race on the track now, and that is the start list for the women's 60 metre para championship. They're going into their blocks now.
So away cleanly. Good start there by Tamsin Colley of the University of New South Wales, but now coming through Sabella Wharton of UTS North. It's going to be tight between Wharton and just on our inside Charlie's Colwell from Athletics Wollongong, but Wharton gets it. Colwell second, Colley third across the line, and Summer Giddings from the Hills District's fourth across the line there. So well done to all the ladies in the 60 metre para. I think that might be a new division as well, so great to see Illawarra Blue Stars supporting the Para New South Wales Championship there with those 4 ladies. A lot of them also, well actually a lot of these athletes backing up from the 100 metres earlier on today, as well as their 60 metre heats in order to qualify for these finals. So a lot of athletes running for the 3rd time here today.
So if you're playing along at home, we're going to be about 13 minutes or so behind the scheduled timetable, which is there on screen. But I suspect we'll pick up some time as we get through these 60 metre races, which are all pretty close together, as you would imagine. And you can see now, I thought, Jimmy, that was going to be the men's 60 metre para next. Is it possible?
May not have any athletes in that race. So
this will be the first of the Masters women's 60 metre races, and that's the start list there on screen.
So the lane draw for this one, of course we wouldn't have had the lane draw last night, Matt, but the lane draw in front of us, Kate Truisham of Illawong, she'll go in lane number 1, Sarah DeVries of Illawarra Blue Stars in 2, Liz Lobb of Athletics Wollongong in 3, Kylie Strong, we've seen a little bit from her so far this season, seeing state Masters records all over the place. She goes in lane number 4, Rena Flynn of Illawarra Blue Stars in 5, and her teammate also from IBS in 6, Lisa Quinn, Maria Simino, multi-talented athlete of UTS Norths in 7, and Christine Lamb of Illawong Reevesby in lane number 8. So just looking at the field there, Kylie may not be lining up, the UTS athlete in 4. As I mentioned, she's had a fantastic start to her season, setting a couple of Masters records over the 100 metres, I think the 200 metres as well, at Trelaw Shield in the late stages of 2022. And of course the New South Wales Masters Athletics Championships happening in 3 weeks' time as well. For those Masters athletes out there, make sure you jump on the website and get yourself entered for entries close. And the National Masters Championships also happening in Sydney from Friday the 10th to Monday the 13th of March. And actually the Sydney Track Classic will happen after day 2 of the National Masters Championship. So if you are over the age of 30 and are keen on your athletics, make sure you're getting to the state and National Masters Champs coming up in a few weeks' time.
And of course, if you're a Masters distance runner, there's the World Masters Short Course Cross Country Championships being held in Bathurst alongside the World Championships for the first time ever, so get up there as well. But set to go here for the Women's Masters race in the 60 metres.
So away we go. The IBS athletes in the middle getting a good start. They're also trying to go as Sarah DeVries in 2. It's DeVries, and this is lane 6, Lisa Quinn. So IBS dominating the 60 Masters women's race there. Lisa Quinn wins it for Illawarra Blue Stars from Sarah DeVries. It must be mentioned there are quite a few age groups there, which we don't have much of a hope being able to tell you all the age division winners there, but some very happy ladies, and a lot of medals will be handed out by the club shortly. Well done to everyone in that race.
So just while we've got a little break in the program here between races, we'll also show you the field for the men's open 60 metre New South Wales Championship tonight, and a few of these boys looked pretty good in the heat, Jimmy, as a party, and Roberts in particular.
Yeah, Corey Ewings as well. He comes in as the quickest qualifier. Josh Party and Tom Templeton, I'm pretty sure they might have been in the same heat, just pulling up a little bit towards the line, but you can see how close it is across the board. Less than 200s between all those 10 gents. I was also told by the photo finish team that there were 3 athletes within 1/100th of a second, so all of them got through to the final here. I'm just picking up, might have been Kenneth Vuong and Lachlan Kasonzi. So we usually have 8 going through to the final. We've got 10 on that start list. So that's how close it is in the men's, the men's heats. Should be 2 great races. They always are here down Illawarra.
Yeah, it's great venue for sprinting. The wind can be a bit temperamental, but if you get it right, some lovely conditions. I think a 2.0 this afternoon. It's set to go here in the Masters men's.
So Sydney Pacific, Mark Sanchez gets a good start, but here are the Wollongong boys, Timothy Bradford and Justin Miller. They go 1-2 straight across the line. They're followed by Jonathan Kellett, visiting us from Canberra. Also going for Sydney Uni in that race was Matt Brunner. He was in lane 4 just in picture there, but it was very close between Justin Miller and Timothy Bradford in lane 6 and 8 for Athletics Wollongong. You see the 2 gents there in red. Good running by them. That's the first of 2 timed finals. Again, we have lots of age groups represented here. Both Justin and Timothy, I think, were in the 35 to 39 year age group there.
So here's the start list for the second of those 2 time finals Jimmy was referring to. And Peter Grady, Mark Sanchez, or have I got this the wrong way around,
my call was out there. Peter Gandy goes here for Athletics Wollongong. Then David Luck in lane 2 for Illawong. Darren Hughes for Mounties in 3. Michael Doodson of Athletics Wollongong in 4. Jamie Turley of UTS North in 5. And David Dieppe of Bankstown Sports in 6.
So I think that start list is out of date from yesterday.
Couple of
some of the seeding.
Couple of amended stamps on these sheets as well. make it doubly as tough. You can see the tall Mounties athlete there, Darren Hughes, excellent runner. I think going into the 60-year age group this year, Darren. He's going to feature in this one. And just calling them back there. Here's our starter. Looks like David Dieppe for Bankstown Sports not on the start line, so 5 gents contesting this race. Oh, sorry, no, David Dieppe is there. Sorry, might be Michael Doodson. Sorry, in lane 4, unaccounted for. Looks like we're all clear and set to go. Ooh, call back again.
Pull back. Maybe to the extent there was any early movement, it probably came in the centre of the track, I suspect. Maybe Darren Hughes from Mounties, but it didn't look egregious.
So it looks like the green card in the official's hand there. So I think
that's a... Yep.
There we go. So
one taken out there and
David
walked straight off, I think.
Bankstown Sports. So there we go.
No arguments. We'll have a slim down field.
Maybe they've installed the sensors on the blocks.
100,000 for a set, as I understand it. So
100K.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I think they might have got the lane.
Right.
Yeah. So it's Jamie Turley there.
Yep. So David Dieppe, I think, comes back in, and Jamie Turley from UTS North's looks like he's going to be a scratching. Although now he's back on the start line. Chaos at the start. Let's work out who we've got. Well,
no,
I can't explain that at all. 2 red cards shown, and all of them lining up again. So, well, good news is we've got a full field. Oh, that was a clear break. So Darren Hughes from Mounties, there won't be any doubt about that one. He was out half a second before the gun.
It's interesting, the 60s, because we so often...
hang on, a yellow card.
Is that a warning?
Well, is it a Masters rule?
I believe it is, yeah.
Yep. So, open conditions, he'd be straight out, but... So, now, I think my understanding of the Masters rules is that this will mean the whole field is on a warning.
Yeah, I think it's like the under 14 age group for the juniors as well.
So, anyone breaking now will be out, but that puts the whole field on a warning. So let's see if we can get them underway at the 4th time of asking for the men's 60 metres, second of 2-time finals. Cleanly away now. Hughes actually out pretty well that time as well, and on the inside of the track, Gandy going strongly. Dieppe 2 on the outside. Hughes and Dieppe in the dip for the line. I reckon Dieppe maybe just on the outside from Hughes, and Turley 3rd over the line for my fancy for UTS Norths. But took a while to get there, but we got there in the end. Let's see if we can actually bring you some results from a little bit earlier in the program, and not just yet by the looks of it. I've got some from the women's 60 metre para, so good indication there. 4.6 tailwind in that one, so some real gusty conditions here. So Bella Wharton first over the line in 9:38. Charlize Colwell second over the line in 9:71. Tamsin Colley 3rd in 9:82. And of course the para rules, those will be adjusted. And it doesn't look like we've got any other results just at the moment.
Might still be reading those races, the photo team.
So back over to the start line, and these ladies have been lining up for a while now, waiting for those Masters men to get themselves sorted out at the start. And here's the start list for the under 14s. I think we're up to, Jimmy.
And that's spot on your screen. That will be the lane draw. So Ginger Searsat of Athletics Wollongong goes in 4. Angelica Batty of Campbelltown in 5. Alia Plummer of Camden Athletics in 6. And Alexia Matheson of Westfields in 7. 4 contesting this under 14 women's 60 metre title.
Dave.
So away we go, under 14 women's set of Athletics Wollongong, and now Angelica Batty of Campbelltown. It's those two from the rest of the field. Batty's coming over the top, she gets it. Campbelltown Athlete will take the under 14 title just in front of Ginger Searset of Athletics Wollongong, and Alia Plummer of Camden Athletics will get the bronze. Alexia Matheson just congratulating her in fourth. Good race between the young girls there of Wollongong and Campbelltown in 4 and 5 of those. Just in the last 10 metres, Batty getting over the top.
So good racing here. We'll start to power through these a little bit more, I suspect, given we're a little bit behind. So next on the start list, the under 20 women, and should be a full field in this one. Actually, sorry, I think I've skipped over the boys. So
this is the under 14 boys up next. Yep.
So the under 14 boys there on screen, and another relatively small field with Trevor Lee of Illawong, Jaden Todorowski of Westfield, Brian Dieppe. Guessing there's a relation there from our Masters men's race, also of Bankstown, and Marcus Lee of Illawong. Bankstown, I probably should know that as well, shouldn't I?
One of the more talented sprinters in this age group around Australia, Jaden Todorowski, seems to win everything he goes in at the moment. The Westfield Sports athletes in lane 3 there. Lane 5 there, just in the middle of the field. Superb talent in the youngest age group we have, the under 14s, turning 13 this year is Jaden.
A couple of brothers as well in this, I suspect, as well. Trevor Lee and Marcus Lee, 13 and 11. Set to go on the under 14 boys. Todorowski out very nicely from Dieppe on his outside, and Todorowski is powering away from them in the under 14 boys and clearly wins that. Good dip for second between Trevor Lee and Brian Dieppe on the outside, and Marcus Lee, the youngest athlete in the field, a little bit later over the line to round out the field as you'd expect. But I mean, look at the size difference there, Jimmy.
Yeah, there's
same age group, but reasonable size difference there. Todorowski winning in impressive fashion.
We're going to see a lot of him at the New South Wales Junior Champs last weekend of February, and no doubt Australian Juniors after that. So exciting times there for Westfield Sports with their next generation athletes. And it looks like this is the first of our open races, Matt.
I think they might have.
I think it is. That's Abby.
Okay, so I think what's probably happened is that the under 20s would have gone to a straight final earlier this afternoon, and so we don't have the graphic for this Open Women's Championship race, but there is the start list, if you'll excuse the formatting, given that this field was only decided after the heats this afternoon. So Georgia Munro on the inside for Newcastle runners, and these are the times from the heats that have qualified them for this final. 7:59. Sarah Carley from Kembla Joggers, 7:53. Sam Geedes from Collingwood, formerly of Sydney but now racing out of Melbourne, in 3. Isabella Walker for Sydney University in 4. Lane, and one of the hot favourites, Taddeo, in 6. Keisha Prasiak in 7. Pickering and Quirk round out the field for the women's New South Wales 60 metre championship final. Jimmy, this is a crack field.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And throwing Sam Geddes, who wasn't in the 100, there she is in 3 for the 60. This is going to be a fantastic race. Ooh, yeah, that's so. I think that's just an issue with the
an arrow there.
Start there. Yep, so no issue there. For the ladies, just without starter speakers, there might be a little bit of an issue.
I'm not sure what's happened there. It's clearly a technical issue, but I'm not sure. We heard it a few more times after it went the first time.
Just going through some of the qualifiers through this race, Sam Geddes 7:22. I wonder if that was legal. That is absolutely flying. I think the meet record, I don't know if there is a meet record, but the quickest I remember is Monique Quirk winning this in 7:28 a couple of years ago. So Geddes with a 7:22, just in front of Ebony Lane with a 7:27. State ladies, really making their mark here in the 60-metre heats.
So it's a big field. See if we can get them underway at the second time of asking. Taddeo going for 7 titles. The field set for the New South Wales 60-metre championship.
Oh, Elaine got really good starting. Here comes Sam Geddes. Carly trying to go with her at the moment. Here comes Adi Taddeo as well. It's going to be Sam Geddes who takes it. Sam Geddes comprehensively takes it from Ebony Lane. And it looks like Monique Quirk is the first New South Wales lady. I think Quirk will take the New South Wales title, but it was the interstate athletes who dominated the race. Sam Geddes will get the commemorative gold. And Matt, I might try and run over and get some live results as well.
Yeah, fantastic performance there from Geddes. She was a famous sprinter, represented Australia at the World Juniors from memory, and was one of the real up-and-coming talents of the New South Wales sprinting scene quite a few years ago now. Her brother, a handy sprinter as well, made the move to move to Melbourne. Pardon me, we're in Wollongong. After a fair bit of time out of the sport, has taken it back up and returned to some of the form that saw her wearing green and gold for Australia in the junior colours. You got a time for us, Jimmy?
Well, I'll see how memory goes. Sam Geddes gets it with a 4.1. Massive tails here, but 7.19 she's gone, despite the wind. Super impressive. Monique Quirk actually came second across the line. She takes the New South Wales title, 7.28, so same time, but with a big tail behind her this year, but she does take the title. Emily Lane, third across the line. She'll get commemorative bronze, 7.31, and at the time of me running over, I didn't get the silver and bronze for New South Wales, but that's the top 3.
I expect they'll come through relatively soon, so we'll show you the results on screen once we have them. But let's have a look at that's the open men's field on the line too. So let's have a look at this while the momentum's up. And there's the start list for the open men's. Kenneth Wong, Andrew Goshnich for St George, Lachlan Kazoni of Camden, Jackson Rowe of Campbelltown, Mitch O'Neill in the centre of the track, Athletics Wollongong down on the home turf, and they're going in very quickly here, so I'll hand it back to Jimmy to call the men's New South Wales 60 metre championship.
No Templeton in 8. Ooh, that might have been Will Roberts possibly there for Campbelltown. We'll just have a look at it's gonna be Roberts, I think.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
and red card straight up. Yep.
So that's a shame, because Will was just starting to get back into his running. No doubt we'll see him very shortly. A lot of these athletes going down to ACT in a couple of weeks as well, so he'll be back. But this one,
open championship rules here, so nothing like the Masters rules. One false break and you're out. Seen it brutally at the international level at the World Championships in Oregon just gone.
Well, it's tough here. The 60s, I mean, there's no other race we need to start like the 60s, so pressure is high here on these blocks.
Set to go, second time of asking the New South Wales 60 metre title.
Away here, good start there by the Camden athletes, but coming through now, it's Josh Azapai. Josh Azapai is going to win this, I think. Yes, he's going to get it. Josh Azapai gets it for Camden. It was Carl Curry-Illies who just got left of the box. He was the quickest qualifier. Jackson Rowe had a really good dip on the line as well there, the 20-year-old from Campbelltown, but there's no doubt about Josh Azapai takes his first New South Wales title of 2023, and something tells me it might not be his last. Very good effort there. Jackson Rowe got up very nicely up to the finish line as well. Mitch O'Neill matched it with them as well, the Athletics Wollongong athlete. He really came into his running last season, so it's going to be really interesting to see where the silver and bronze are decided here. No interstate flavour with Templeton scratching. Try and find some times, Matt.
That's right. Well, while you do that, Jimmy, I think we'll get them quickly, but here's the results on screen for those playing along at home in the women's 60 metres. So confirmation of Sam Geddes' win in the race, running out of Collingwood, though, of course, in Melbourne, and so ineligible for the New South Wales Championship, but a very windy, but nonetheless impressive 7:19. Monique Quirk will be the New South Wales champion for Illawong with a 7:28. Ebony Lane, also from Victoria, with a 7:31, and Abby Taddeo will be the silver medalist in New South Wales with a time of 7:43, and Keisha Prayak of UTS Norths will be the bronze medalist in New South Wales with that result there. Now we'll keep going through the field here. I think we've now got the women's. Well, to be honest, I've gotten lost here, Jimmy, as to what our start list here is. So apologies, but we don't have a start list for this one. But underway, I think it's one of the junior. Well, it's clearly one of the junior girls races, and the UTS Norths athlete on the inside in lane 3.
Gabby Taylor, that is.
There it is.
UTS Norths under 20, I think it was there for the ladies. Sorry about that, Matt.
No, that's right. I don't think we've got a start list for that one, so we're out of order. But
Gabby Taylor gets it though.
Just looking at the results from the Open women's and the results there. I think you've got some results from the men's.
Yeah, in my head. So Josh has a party. It was a bit of a margin in the end, 700s, which is pretty big in a 60. He gets in 6.58, absolutely flying, but with 4.4 tail behind him. So 300s outside of Browning a couple of years ago, but with a little bit of extra assistance. Very good there by Azapati. 6.65 it was for Jackson Rowe. Congratulations to him, just at 20 years of age. He picks up the silver for Campbelltown, and Carl Curry-Ewings, 6.69, gets the bronze. So New South Wales medals decided there, first, second and third across the line. Another very exciting open race, and a couple of really good open races here at this year's Illawarra Track Challenge for the 60 open titles.
Okay, so so that explains why I don't have a graphic for it. So this is the men's under 20 race. We were having some heats earlier this afternoon, so we don't have the seed times on that, but that's okay. So this we don't have a graphic on it, but the full field of 9 here. So Trey Fairweather on the inside, Aidan Lowe for Epping, Seb Sultana for Campbelltown, and Joseph Aedi also of Campbelltown, Daniel Katana of Epping, Alex Colgan of Albury, Marcello Ottaviano of West, Alex Harris of Camden, and Rashid Kaba of Westfields. Round out the field for the men's under 20 race. A couple of scratchings there, I think. No lane 3.
Sultana's out, and also Alex Harris.
Yep, and they're just being asked to stand up.
So Sultana did run the heat, but this has run a couple of times today. Also ran 10:37 in the 100 for those following along Seb's progress. So a pretty good day for him thus far. His teammate though, Joseph Aodi, probably comes in favourite for this one. Rashid Carver on the outside. We know how good Rashid is. Should be another exciting 60 final. Getting a good start there. Daniel Katana of Epping. 80 starting to come through the field now. 80's going to take this one pretty comfortably from the rest of the field. Good run there. Alexander Colgan visiting us from Albury Athletics as well. He'll go very close to second. Now I reckon he just got over Daniel Katana. Also going well, Trey Fairweather of Maitland Seniors on the inside, but he might just miss out in the top 3. No doubt about it. There he is in the middle of the screen. Joseph Aodi of Campbelltown. He's a 10.47 guy, and he's really coming up in the ranks in that under 20 age group. Will certainly be one to look at come New South Wales Junior Championships.
So what are we up to here, Jimmy? Just the under 18s?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think so. So start list there on screen now for the under 18s. ladies in the 60 metre title. So from them, not in necessarily lane draw order, but Idris of Campbelltown, Quay of Hills, McCluskey of Illawarra Blue Stars, Wallace of Katoomba, Talia of Campbelltown just inside Ava, and Kira Regski of Wollongong, Rebecca Fowler of Bankstown, Tattersall of Camden, and Ekowie of Sydney University. That's the field for the women's 60 metre. So just being held slightly. Now no lane 8, so Fowler of Bankstown is scratching from the start list. Talia out well in the centre for Campbelltown. Also Quay on the inside, pretty even as they come down to the line. Right in the centre of the track, I fancy probably Talia from Campbelltown in a close race with McCluskey of Illawarra Blue Stars. Hard to pick, but I think Talia just in the centre. It might have been Quay though from Hills, so we'll have to check photo for that one, but very tight for the ladies. And there we go, we've finally got the official results for the men's 60 metre race. We'll just get those up on screen for you. And there they are there. So those are our official results as a party. Confirmation of his New South Wales title in 6:58, albeit a pretty windy one. Jackson Rowe of Campbelltown in second, 6:65, and Corey Ewings of Epping, the first two Epping athletes there, in 6:69. They'll take out the medals for the New South Wales title for 2023. First championships to be decided in the calendar year. And it's getting pretty gusty here, Jimmy, and that's been reflected in some of the tailwinds we've gotten, although at least they're not headwinds.
That's it. I think if you're running a 60 at the moment, you'd certainly prefer a four tail than a 4 head, that's for sure. So it's always interesting, the conversation around illegal tailwinds. I've always generally thought that yes, it gives you a little bit of an advantage, but running fast is running fast, isn't it? And it's good to see, regardless, that this calibre of athletes coming out at this early stage of the season and performing so well. On to the under 18 men's 60 metre final here. Got a field of 9 in front of us. Dillian Illigant Lake of Campbelltown in 1. Elias Oldfield of independent athlete, I think it is, and 2. Liam Capsalis of Balmain, and 3. Aidan Gow of Scots in 4. Stadhill Kumar of Campbelltown 5. Billy Blair of Balmain in 6. Jacob Peterson of Dubbo in 7. John McDonald of Nepean 8. And Daniel Hornery of Sutherland in 9. So away we go. Scott's athlete gets a good start. Also going well, Jacob Pearson of Dubbo, but coming through now is the Balmain athlete, Liam Capsilis. I think Capsilis is going to get that one. Bit of an upset there, Billy Blair. We know how good he is over the hurdles, just didn't quite get out as well as his teammate. And I think Capsilis will take victory there. Aidan Gow got a very good start there for Scots. He'll go very close to second. Sadhill Kumar of Campbelltown in the middle of the track also going well for third.
Getting gusty, isn't it? You can probably hear the wind through the microphones here. It's getting very gusty. It's fine when it's still, but as the gusts come through, it's starting to cause a bit of havoc around here. Although it must be said, considerably better conditions than what we had here last year when we had to abandon the meet after just being hit by a cyclone.
Cyclone Wollongong.
And thought we might have lost the live stream system that night, actually, but managed to get through.
Down to the
how's the Nike Pro kit just hanging up down there?
Hey, I've got that singlet too. Don't have to throw around too much shade.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
It's good when they go on sale though. Get excited about that. Get to wear the same things that you see in Diamond League meets. So good on that athlete. We'll be introducing him in a couple of races' time, but we'll get underway with the under 16 women here. Gypsy Plummer of Camden on the inside. Elliot Millikamp, Neve Jenkins, Indy Bauer, Virginia Cole, Ava Ross, Elise Dieppe, Talina Baseski, and Jessica Landrigan, of Camden on the outside. Good field this one. Neve Jenkins, Indy Bauer, Virginia Cole, and Ava Ross, all very, very talented young girls in this under 16 age group. Neve Jenkins, excellent hurdler, as well as Ava Ross. So this will be a good race, this one. Or might be a break, I think, because we're in the under 16 age group. We might have an issue here with Talina Baseski of Campbelltown.
Yeah, clearly second from the outside. We'll wait to see. Pardon me, the ruling.
Yeah, unfortunately it'll be a red, so
and not contested.
Yeah, so it's the under 14 age group. Is that warning for the field? Unfortunately, going into the 16s, you don't get the same leeway. So 8 athletes will settle back into their blocks for the under 16 girls 60 metre final. Play cleanly this time. Excellent start by Neve Jenkins of Sutherland, and also trying to go with her is the Camden athlete on her inside, but coming through now is Ava Ross of Katara South. I think Ross is going to get that coming down the highway. It was very close between her and Jenkins, but she does get the best of the Sutherland athlete on her inside, as the girls just congratulating one another. Very close there for third, too tight to tell. But a good win there for Ava Ross. Katara South, there's a bit of talent in that club. Very good distance runners we're going to see in those junior age groups over winter as well in a few months' time. So good things happening up there.
So for those watching along at home, here's the timetable for the rest of proceedings. I suspect we're still just slightly behind that. But after these 60 metre finals are finished, we'll be into a couple of 400s and then the New South Wales Mile Championships for the Masters, the Juniors, and ultimately the Opens. And a couple of pretty solid 3Ks at the end of the night as well, Jimmy.
Yeah, a bit of talent there. I think Harm Shapp might go as one of the quicker athletes in the men's race from memory. Having a look at some of the start lists earlier this week in the office. So some good distance running, and we had the community 3K
field in that as well. I think 25 starters. I think
there is.
Last night.
It's well, we had the community 3K earlier on as well. So there's some very good things have been happening down distance land in around the Kembla Joggers, and the recreational club Wollongong Track Club have run some general training events around here as well. So for those keen for those 3Ks, stay tuned. This is the under 16 men's 60 metre final. Dylan Lau goes on the inside in one. Jack Proudfort, Oliver Facer, Miller Searset, Will Albino, Andreas Hampel, Hamish Elliott, Max Marshall, and Taylor Weissel. So good start there on the inside. Jack Proudfort from Hills District coming through now as Will Albino and also Andreas Hampel, but the Campbelltown athlete late, Oliver Facer, might have just dipped on the line to take victory there. It's going to be very, very close. I think Facer just in front of Will Albino and maybe Andreas Hampel of UTS North there for third. Nice finish there from Facer. Didn't really feature much in the early stages, but came home strong. Will Albino, a big range he has, going very well over the 60, but his preferred event, the 400 metres. So big things there from the young man in orange of Hornsby Districts. And Andreas Hampel, extremely talented young hurdler as well. His favourite event for UTS North, also having an excellent run. Max Marshall as well, just from now there, walking off with the sensational mullet. I think he is the national champion over the 100 as well. So Max just building into his season early here at Illawarra. I know he's certainly the talk of the Nowra town around the national juniors last season.
So just a reminder for those in Sydney to get your tickets now for the Sydney Track Classic to be held in March in 2023. And we just located a missing start list that we would have been handy to have earlier. But some of the biggest names in Australian athletics and potentially internationally. I know some of the Japanese athletes coming down as well. So come and see some of the best in the world run around SOPAC and jump and throw and roll at what will be a cracking Sydney Track Classic. As Jimmy mentioned earlier, Nsw taking a big role. And just before that will be, of course, the first Senior World Championship ever to be held in Australia. 25 years since Australia played host to the World Juniors in the lead up to the Sydney Olympics. The world returns to Australia for the World Cross Country Championships to be held in Bathurst between the 17th and the 19th of February. For those that are able to run or jog or walk, there's an event on the weekend for you. Something for everyone, from 2K hot laps of the track. For the sub-elite athletes, there's the golden ticket opportunity on the Friday afternoon to actually earn yourself a start in the World Championship races on the Saturday. Everyone who enters the mass participation races also gets a free ticket to come and watch on Saturday afternoon the world's best take on the under-20 races, as well as the open men's and women's. And Jimmy, also one of the most exciting races on the weekend will undoubtedly be the mixed 2x2 relay. There's a selection trial tomorrow morning, which I suspect is going to give us a team that's capable of challenging for a world championship in that race.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about the mixed relay, hasn't it? I certainly think that might be a little bit of a strategic approach, particularly with the 1500 metre depth we've got at the moment. Just springing to mind Stuart McSwain, Oliver Hoare, and then the women's, of course, Lyndon Hull, Jess Hall, and Georgia Griffith, to name a few. I think they're all...
Abby Caldwell racing
Abby
tomorrow
Caldwell,
as well.
yeah, of course.
Yep.
There's a lot of talent that is racing tomorrow, but then there's a couple who are going to join that team come World Cross time as well. I certainly think not only in the men, but also certainly the women, we have big chances of medaling in those events against the African and European domino countries.
Absolutely. I have a little bit to do with it, and can confirm that the relay is a massive target. It's also going to be the first race on the program in the afternoon, and it's certainly a level of ambition to have the first Senior World Championship medal decided in Australia go to the Australian team. It's not going to be an easy order. The best distance runners in the world are descending on Bathurst. Looking very promising with Joshua Cheptegei for starters. World champion.
Jeffrey Cam-Warwar, 3-time world champion, and Latenzabet Gide, the 5 and 10,000 metre world record holder in the women. Some massive ins already. Basically the who's who at the moment of distance track running.
Absolutely. It's the most number of entries for any world cross country ever outside of Europe, and the 5th most ever. Obviously it's a bit harder to get people to the other side of the world, but when you consider some of the world crosses held in Africa over the years, the home of distance running, to have the most ever outside of Europe is a massive endorsement for the team that have put this together, and those at Athletics Australia who've managed to bring the World Championship to the Southern Hemisphere.
I was also just going to mention, Matt, with the Sydney Track Classic, there's going to be opportunities for people to get involved, in particular the youngsters. We're working on a couple of participation events for the kids, so there are some really exciting announcements coming in the next week or two. Working on some school things as well, so I can't say too much now, but it is absolutely coming. So you're not just going to be watching the best in Australia and some from around the world. You're going to have the opportunity to get involved yourself on the track as part of the pre-program for the Sydney Track Classic, so stay tuned to those announcements.
So we're not too far away, just some medal presentations happening here in the stadium, for those wondering why we've got a little break in proceedings, but not too far away from these two 400 metre races. So let's have a look at the start list first with the women's field, and Shannon Geary headlines the field from New Zealand, first on the page, just ahead of the Sydney Pacific pair of Rowena Craker and Beth Holme. Jen Cowie, I saw her in casual clothes earlier. I don't think she's having a run for Sydney University, despite being on the start list. Brady Mate for Kembla Joggers, Tierney Dunn of Athletics Wollongong, Alma Robb for Camden, and Ash Gonclaves for Athletics Wollongong. That's the start list for the women's 400 metres, and while we've got a minute, we might just have a look at the men's start list as well. I did see James Kerrman floating around, so good to see him here. Max Holmes on the first on the start list for the University of New South Wales. Ben Iverson for Wes, Liam Webb of the Uni of New South Wales, Ian Halpin of Bankstown, Connor Fry of Collingwood, another one of our Melbourne visitors, Jordan Sarmento of West, James Kerrman for Bankstown, and Chris Liverizzi in a pretty handy men's 400 metre field.
Connor Fry, the national 400 metre hurdle champion, featuring there.
I think Sam Getty's partner, right?
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
Collingwood connection, yeah.
Yep. So
Sam,
good
good afternoon. See if they can
do the double. Yeah.
Take some gold home together.
I see Brady Mate here as well, Kembla Joggers on her home track. Another very talented 400 metre hurdler. She, with Jen now out of the race, she probably goes in as one of the favourites. She really came into the back end of the season, put together some excellent races, seemingly running PBs every time she went over the 4 sticks. So watch for her. Tierney Dunn as well, although I think Tierney might be a non-starter as well in this race. I was just going to say that she gets better the longer she runs. It's an extremely strong 200 metre runner. You see Rowena Craker there, Sydney Pacific in screen, another 55 mid runner at her best. Shannon Geary also a 55 mid runner there, just in the black strip there from New Zealand. You can see our photo finish team there in the background doing an excellent job all afternoon. So the ladies just getting into their blocks. Non-starters here in 4, that's Jen Cowie and Tierney Dunn not lining up here in lane 6. Women's A race for the 400 metres. So from the inside, Shannon Geary of New Zealand, then Craker in 2, Halme in 3, Mate in 5 on her home track, then a gap to Rob in 7 and Goncalves in 8. And looks like Craker's just made up the step on Beth Halme, who is very good over the 800, so she might look to try and work through the field in the last half here. Just going past the pole vault shed there as they're coming along. Also going well, Brody Mate there just in the white top, now featuring and picking up Goncalves and Rob on her outside. But it's Rowena Craker of Sydney Pacific who might just have the lead. It's between her and Mate of Kembla Joggers as they come into the home straight. So Craker just starting to grimace a little bit. Mate might just have the step. It's very tight between these two. I think Mate just has the step. Craker is trying to fight back. Craker and Mate, nothing between it. Halme's certainly third. I think Geary just over the top of Alma Robb for 4th. A fantastic race over the last 150 between Brody Mate and Rowena Craker. Anyone's guess. We've got a little bit of a front-on view, so tough to tell. Good race though there, Matt.
Yeah, cracking couple of fields here for the 400s. Real bonus little event here at the Illawarra Track Challenge. Obviously well known for the 60 and the mile championships, but for a couple of years now there's been some good feature 400 metre racing, and this year no exception. Good race there in the women's and a really strong field coming up in the men's. Let's just have a look at that start list again for the men's while they sort themselves out here. And I'll give them to you in hip number order as well. And in fact it looks like that on the screen there is hip number order. So Max Holmes on the inside of the track for the University of New South Wales. Ben Iverson of West Track and Field in 2. Liam Webb for the University of New South Wales in 3. Ian Halpin Ian Halpin for Bankstown in 4, Connor Fry of Collingwood in 5, Jordan Sarmento in 6, James Kerrman of Bankstown in 7, and Chris Liverizzi on the outside in lane 8. So just getting a couple of things sorted here on the start line with the men's 400 metre field just about set to go in what is a strong one. Just having a look at the start list, and it does look like we've got a full complement here as well, so good to see. Ones to watch for in the centre of the track, Halpin and Fry. As Jimmy mentioned earlier, Fry the hurdler specialist, but runs for the black and white of the Collingwood Magpies, which has me sympathetic to him, notwithstanding being from Melbourne. But underway in the 400 metre hurdles, 400 metres flat, pardon me, for the men. Colin Fry the hurdler, running well in the centre of the track, but also running particularly well is Jordan Sarmento for West on the outside. He's just picking up the stagger now on Kerrman on his outside. In the centre of the track, Ian Halpin running nicely and just getting up to the shoulder of Fry for Collingwood, who's in that light blue singlet on his outside. So a few in it here as they come round the home bend. Halpin now just picking them up from Fry, who's doing well to go with him. Kerrman just starting to fade, and Sarmento still running strongly for West. The University of New South Wales athlete Liam Webb also running well in the centre of the track, but Halpin now, the Australian relay representative, getting up in the centre of the track, just holding off Fry, and Fry coming at him late, and I think run over the top of Halpin in the end for Collingwood. Just gets over the top of Halpin, and Jordan Sarmento for West, I reckon might have just got dipped for third, maybe by Liam Webb. Very, very close. But good racing in the men's 400 metre hurdles. Ian Halpin looked to have them covered around the back, but just fading in the last 20 metres, and Connor Fry timed his run very, very nicely.
Yeah, excellent run there. Maybe just that hurdle strength that Connor has in his favourite event, just proving a little bit too much in the late stages there for Halpin, but good opener there for Ian for 2023. As you mentioned, Matt, very close between Sarmento of West Track and Field and Liam Webb of the University of New South Wales. Actually came in with equal seed time, so unsurprisingly very close there for third. So this confirmation of the women's race as well. It was Rowena Craker who took it out in 55.91. That was the winning time. So sub 56 there for the Sydney Pacific athlete, and Brody Mate 56.11. So a couple of tenths of a second in the end.
So again, just some medal presentations happening here.
Beth Halmy 57.74 for third as well, as we'll just get those women's 400 metre open race results up on screen. And they are there. Geary of New Zealand, 4th 59.24. Rob 5th in 59.36.
So good running there, all over the times in the men's, but nice running there from the women's. As I mentioned, the 400 starting to become a real feature race here at the Illawarra Track Challenge, and a meet that continues to grow year on year.
Well, we've got over 500 athletes last year and this year now, so it's sort of solidifying itself as a 500 plus athlete meet, which is no mean feat, particularly run by, or predominantly by the Illawarra Blue Stars Athletics Club. They do a wonderful job, led by, of course, Valme Looms, a very, very popular character here for decades. She's been such a contributor to the sport. We thank Valme and their entire committee for making today's meet possible.
So let's look ahead. We've had the 2 400 metre races, and this is the timetable for the rest of the afternoon. So you can see now we're into the New South Wales Mile Championships with the women's juniors races first and the men's mile. Of course, some of the junior divisions will be combined in those races. And then we'll be into the Masters with the women's and the men's, and then the Open Championship races due to get underway at 6:29 and 6:36. And just with a bit of a time check, actually, so we're about 10 minutes behind or thereabouts. And then, of course, the couple of 3K races. So this the start list for the women's mile. So that you can see there the combined junior age groups, and the under 20 women are going to go with the Open. So that's the combined race there. Darcy Costello and Ruth Costello for run crew in the 14s, along with Lily Taus, Natalia Hall and Charlotte Neville, all of Kembla joggers. Zanyeb Doish of Westfields is the sole entry in the under 16s, and the 2 entries in the under 18s of Celeste Carolyn and Zoe Woods. It looks like we've got a little window here to also show you the men's. Oh, pardon me. I think, forgive the graphic there, but that should be the men's mile in the juniors, and a bigger field there. So Shay Casillas for Westfields and Ellis Hayden of Blue Mountains in the 14s, and the 16s we've got Jude Lowe, Logan Dixon, Benjamin Long, Jackson Horton and Ben Westwood with a pretty heavy Westfields presence there. And the under 18s we have Will Hayden, Josiah Lowe, William Zakis, Ben Leonardzi, McClay Kesby and James Brewer of Kembla joggers. Might as well keep rolling here with some start list, Jimmy, while they still do the presentations. Next start list will be the women's mile in the Masters, and good field there. Again, the combined age divisions, and we'll show you the men's mile as you just hear some marshalling going on in the background, and a really good field there for the men's mile in the Masters. But of course, what it's all about are the 2 championship races, and here they are: the Women's New South Wales Mile Championship, second state title to be decided for calendar year 2023. And a couple of handy names there. Neve Allen, I think, is...
Neve is part of the run crew squad.
Where I was going was I thought it might have been a scratching, but I wasn't sure on the final start.
Oh, not entirely sure.
I think she's still here, but let's certainly hope so. Ruby McPhillip's been running some good races for Kembla joggers. Ruby Madden, also run crew Davina Smith and Erin Casillas, Rosie Coper and Claire Spicknell, also going with Grace Pomeroy.
Yeah, Neve.
I'm mainly now proud that I can pronounce Neve.
Yeah. I was going to say bronze medalist in the New South Wales 3,000 metre championships behind Holly Campbell and her teammate Ainsley Van Grand. So the Irish national is having a great season thus far. Her first real track season, I think, in Australia. So I certainly think she'll be the one to beat there in the field for the Women's Open Championship.
And here's the field for the men's mile championship. Bit of a bigger field and a relatively strong one, it must be said. Zachary, of course, early in the year, and a lot of the distance runners are doing some work up at altitude or getting a decent training block in. But a good field here. Zachary Johnson from Run Crew, just inside the Sutherland pair of Blake Carman and Jonathan McClellan. Isaac Shaw for Bankstown. Luke Young has been running some lovely races at milers for the Newcastle Flowers. Ben Jagger ditto for Run Crew. Cameron Pizzini is down as ANSW, so visiting athlete. Harry McGill, also of Bankstown, part of the Team Telford squad down in Canberra. Another couple of Kembla pairs with Tom March and Finley McPhillips. Jordan Anderson for Sutherland. Stefan Music for Randwick Botany. Daniel Shoughton of the Nepean District of Cameron Dodds of Bankstown. So again, pretty strong fields, especially when you consider as well that a lot of the 1500 metre talent in the country is going to be lining up at the cross-country trials tomorrow morning at Stromlo for a spot in the 4x2k relay.
Stefan Music, probably for me goes in favourite. Certainly the quickest on paper. The mile and the 1500 metres is his go-to, and he's featuring in all of those. So we've seen a couple of those 3:45 paced 1500s at miles this far this season, and he's always there or thereabouts around about that pace. So Stefan, who knows? Maybe we see a sub-4 attempt. We don't know. It's early in the season. We saw it a couple of years ago with Richie Newell, if you remember that, 2:58. He went through the 1209 metre mark. Valiant effort. I think he finished about 4:09, but you never know, Matt. You never know. They might go for it.
It would surprise you if they went out at sub-4 pace given the field, but as you said, we've seen it before here, and there's not a lot to lose. So, but the tactics here will be fascinating with a small field in the women's and a strong field, but no real standout star in the men's. Probably 3 or 4 guys there with a realistic crack at becoming New South Wales champion tonight. Let's just quickly revisit this start list in the women's race. And as we mentioned earlier here, some combined age groups with the under-14s, the under-16s and the under-18s. But they're done marshalling now, and we're finally about ready to get underway.
This will be fun to call. So the Photofish camera's on the inside of the track, so we're not actually going to get a hip number at any stage in this race. So bear with us. We might know the open athletes a little bit better than
on the back straight, won't we?
Oh yeah, we will. Yeah. Shout out to Olivia Inkster, who's gone from our Instagram stories to camera woman. So we'll be relying a lot on Liv for those back straight shots, Matt.
Just with a couple of pole vault pits and things in the way as well, but we do what we can to bring the people live athletics.
So away we go here, the under 14, under 16 and under 18 girls mile championship races. And quick start here by, I think that's Zoe Woods there for the under 18 age group, representing West Track and Field. She is out very quickly, and we are getting a nice shot on the back straight there, hip number 8. Just behind her, Celeste Carolyn of Kembla Joggers, just going back to third momentarily with Zainab Darwich of Westfield's Sports Athletics, just moving herself into second. Sorry, Westfield's Athletics Club. So quick start here by Zoe Woods.
So apologies, folks. I don't think we've got a clock working on that one, but see if we can spot one hiding around here somewhere. But this field strung out already, and you can see there the natural consequence of having combined junior and, as we'll see later on, masters age groups, but it gives the athletes a bigger field to run with. Let's see if we can pick up a clock on this next race, but clear leader here for Wes and Zoe Woods. And the other athlete in the field in her age group, the under 18s, is Celeste Carolyn. And as you can see, going up the back straight now, just towards the 600 metre mark, and it does look like Celeste Carolyn, who's sitting in second position. Little gap back then to one of the Westfield athletes, who's just leading a little breakaway group there. I think with one of the run crew athletes, might be Ruth Costello or Darcy Costello. And there's another group of about 3 or 4 of them running together down the back straight, but a clear lead at the front of the field for Zoe Woods. And she'll come up to the 800 metre mark now, and you can see there finally a shot on screen of Celeste Carolyn. And then I think that is Ruth Costello in behind her, and just sitting off the back there is Erin Castillas of Zainab Daesh of Westfields, and she's the sole entrant in the under 16 race. But Woods through 800 now. As you can see there on screen, Celeste Carolyn of Kembla. But heading up the back straight to the 1,000 metre mark now. It's a bit of a lonely race out in front for Zoe Woods.
Yeah, she's looking strong, though, the West Track and Field athlete. With Carolyn fair distance behind her at the moment, so all about Zoe Woods at the front of the field. I think it's Darcy and Ruth Costello in our youngest age group here, the under 14 age group for Run Crew, going well just in the middle of the field at the moment, but a very strong out race here with Zoe Woods on her own terms. Form still looking really good here with 450 to go, and Celeste Carolyn of Kembla Joggers about 60 metres behind or so. Bell there for Woods. She has 350 to go, and it is one of the Run Crew juniors just leading the under 14s at the moment. It might be Ruth Costello there. She's leading that age division. Zainab Darwich will be leading the under 16 division, regardless of where she is, the only entrant in that age category. But having a look here with 250 metres to go, Zoe Woods going behind the pole vault shed. Some good encouragement here just next to us, Matt, as well, by some of the friends and family of the young girls as they go around their last lap. They collect the bell. So coming into the home straight, just had on their terms the whole way, and really has run her own race and looked really good doing it. Zoe Woods of West Track and Field will take out the race overall, but also take out the under 18 New South Wales Mole Championship. Congratulations to her, gun to tape. And Celeste Carolyn coming through here. She will take silver in the under 18 division behind Woods. And an excellent run here by Ruth Costello of Run Crew. She will take gold in the under 14 age division. And I think this is Zainab Darwich. Yes, it is. She will take out the under 16 age division. And my apologies, I haven't been able to pick up that hip number on one of our KJ's athletes. Sorry, Charlotte Neville that was. She will take silver in the under 14 age division. Aaron Casillas just coming across there for bronze in the under 14 age division, with the KJ's girls coming across there. Lily Taus and Natalia Hall in the under 14 age group. And the second of our Costellos, I believe this is Darcy Costello here for Run Crew, rounding out the field, and she'll be sixth in the under 14 age group. So well done to all 9 girls there across the junior mile categories. Move on to the first of our junior gents races.
Apologies folks, just getting the clock sorted out. That should be under control now. So as we were showing you earlier, the start race for the men's junior mile race. And there it is there, just ignore the graphic, but that is the start list. So Casillas, Hayden, Lowe, Dixon, Long, Horton, Westwood, Hayden, Lowe, Zarkas, Leonardzi, Kesby and Brewer. And this combined race just about right to go. So if they go in the junior combined mile race, and a few of the age groups here running together, which hopefully have been spread out over a couple of start lists. We'll try to get a bit of an idea for you. So they head up the back straight for the first time. So It looks like pick number 8, which is Will Hayden of the Scots College. Just heading up to the front of the field there. And also with one of the Kembla joggers athletes there, who I think is James Brewer. So, as you imagine, the older athletes in the under-18s heading to the front of the field. Josiah Lowe of Sutherland now gets up to the shoulder of Brewer. And Will Hayden there for Scots now gets a lovely little sit, one out, one back in the run. And the field with some of the younger boys just starting to spread out behind them. So through 400 in about 69 or so, and through 408 in about 70. So pretty decent running here from the under-18 boys. So just still running together in that pack of 5. Ben Leonarduzzi of Sutherland, the tall figure there in hip number 11, just starting to fall off the back a little bit of James Brewer. And he's got William Zakis of Katoomba for company, and Maclay Kesby. So still just this little pack of 3 out the front, with young Josiah Lowe of Sutherland, 16 years old, hitting the front of the field. Will Hayden in behind him, also the short figure from Scots in the yellow singlet, and the slightly taller figure there of James Brewer, the 17-year-old of Kembla joggers, sits 3rd in the run. So they come through 700, about 68-70 through 400 and 408, and they're going to come down now and hit the 800 in about 218 and the 808 in about 221.
So he loves to run like this, does young Josiah. We've seen it many, many times through his young junior career thus far. He's got a little bit more company than maybe what he'd expect usually. Will Hayden and James Brewer there. So you can see these athletes, particularly Josiah, slight frame. He's got really battling these headwinds. They are strong. We're getting +4s on the front straight, which means that we're getting -4s on the back straight. So tough conditions out there on the back straight in particular here. But these 3 just not letting the rest of the pack get in touch with them at this moment. Although it's Clay Kesby who's trying to bridge that gap and might be doing so at just the right time. So Kesby making a bit of a move to try and get on the back of his teammate James Brewer and try and be in contention for these under-18 medals come the bell. It's still Josiah Lowe though. Always runs a brave race, doing so once again here. He gets the bell, Hayden right on his shoulder. James Brewer right there, Kesby certainly not out of it. And it's these 4. You can see Kesby just desperately trying to tack on. He's done a great job to put himself in contention, but things are starting to hot up now with 300 metres to go. Lowe tries to kick away. This is really where the race may well be decided. Down these big headwinds down the back straight. Hayden, you can see fighting still on Lowe's shoulder. Kesby just maybe half and full, a couple of steps off now. So Hayden and Lowe starting to break away. This is where the gold may well be decided. Lowe has led for 1,450 metres, but Hayden is now starting to make his move. Will this be decisive by the Scots athlete? It's looking like that with 100 metres to go. Can Lowe respond? Hayden is kicking away. Hayden looks the best of the 2. Hayden's going to take this. He's going to get the under-18 New South Wales mile title and a perfectly timed kick in the last 100 metres. Josiah Lowe, valiant second there. That is one of the more harder earned silver medals you will see, and a great finish there by James Brewer, just holding off his teammate Maclay Kesby, who also ran a very good race for 4th. 4:38 the unofficial winning time there for Will Hayden. A really mature race there, Matt. Just sat, kicked away with 1:20 to go, and probably safe to say he saved a lot of energy over that first 1,500 metres.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very windy here at Wollongong. It's really gusty now. You saw in the 60-metre races some of those some of those gusts in the 4.4 tailwind region, so up the back straight it's quite heavy. And the Westfields athletes now coming through in the under-16s race with Long and Horton and Westwood. So some of the finishers there in the 16s, and there's also young Sheikh Silas in the under-14s. So I think one more finisher here, one of the youngsters from Sutherland. I think this is Jude Lowe, coming home in the under-16s race. So the combined junior race there for the men's, producing an impressive winning performance from Will Hayden. Pretty good to win the under-16s, under the under-18s as a 16-year-old, with some 17-year-olds in the field as well. So that's the men's junior race. We'll have a look at now at the women's masters race, which will be the next event on the program, with Emma O'Sullivan for Athletics Wollongong, Christisa Kovas of TRT Running, Fiona Byrne of Sutherland, Jacqueline Wright of Athletics East, Robin Basman, the evergreen Robin Basman, one of the great Australian Masters athletes for St George, Sally Hunt for Mingara, Karen Blay for Kemblers, also a well-accomplished Masters athlete, Deborah Drennan, ditto for the UTS Norths, and Rosemary Rodriga for Hills District. They are the field for the Women's Masters Mile, who are just getting themselves organised here with the marshalling. So they're just getting themselves out onto the start list, onto the start line, pardon me, for the Women's Masters. And looks like there might have been a couple of scratchings in this field. Just getting our 4 start lists organised here for the 4 age divisions. Okay, so just about right to go now in the women's Masters Mile. And off they go. So I was saying in commentary earlier, Jimmy, some evergreen Masters athletes here, some highly accomplished world champions, Robin Basman chief among them there in the St George strip. But the early leader, Emma O'Sullivan, I think, for Athletics Wollongong. Don't think we've got Kovacs from TRT. Just trying to see on the over on the far side now. Unfortunately, my eyes aren't what they used to be, and I'm waiting for some new glasses, so I'll do my best. But certainly Emma O'Sullivan for Athletics Wollongong comes in with a seed time of 5:35. And she's found herself at the front of this women's Masters field. We'll see some of the other athletes coming to shot here. As you'd imagine, it's going to spread out with the various athletes in the field.
Rosemary Rodinger here in the 65 to 69 year age category. One of the most talented sub 70 year athletes. She's going to be turning 70 this year, but it's quite extraordinary what Rosemary is able to do well into her 60s, and she is ranking 2nd overall in the field with 3 age groups younger than her, so it just goes to show how well she's going, and has been breaking some national records in her age group over the 1500 metres, I believe, so far. I mentioned Kyle is strong before in the sprints. Rosemary's doing an equally as good job over the distance in that 65-69 year age group, but starting with Emma O'Sullivan here in the 45 to 49 year age group on her home track, the Kerryn McCann Athletics Centre, home to Athletics Wollongong and Kembla Joggers and Illawarra Blue Stars, a lot of the senior clubs Also a lot of the little athletic centres as well. It's a real mecca of track and field here in the southern region of Sydney.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going down to the pond with the mile men and women, open men, open women. The open women.
Really nice form
I was
there.
just going to say, really nice form.
Really nice.
Up the straight, very strong through the core and keeping it smooth, which is what you want in the middle distance running. You start flailing about, you know they're getting tired. So through 1208 now, lapped it.
Right, 808.
Pardon me. Did some track work this morning. I'm still a bit tired.
About 5:30 pace here, I think. About 2:45 through
Yes, it
the
comes
half.
into the seed time of 5:35, so that's right about on.
So Rosemary's holding down their second position at the moment. She's just about to come through the halfway mark round about now. So 3:13 for Rosemary. About 6:25 pace there. Then comes Sally Hunt of Mingara, and in a good battle for fourth at the moment is the Sutherland athlete Fiona Byrne. She's in the 50 to 59 year age category, the sole runner in that one, and just being passed by Robin Basman of St George, who's currently sitting second behind Sally Hunt in the 60 to 64 year age group. Of course, Emma O'Sullivan leading the race in the 45 to 49 year age group for Athletics Wollongong. As you mentioned, Matt, a lot of these ladies you'd expect to see at World Cross Country Championships next month, contesting the World Masters Short Course Championship race.
Yeah, it's a wonderful race we've been able to put together in collaboration with World Athletics and World Masters, as we see Emma here through the 1208 getting the bell. It's the first ever edition of the World Masters Short Course Cross Country Championships, and the first time ever that World Masters Athletics and World Athletics have had a fully integrated World Championship for the cross country. I think it's only happened once before in the walks. So it's a sign of the collaboration that World Athletics and World Masters Athletics are keen to do across the board. But an exciting opportunity for Australia's best Masters athletes, and indeed any Australian Masters athlete. It's an open entry championship to come up to Bathurst and run on the World Championship course the very morning that and immediately before the open athletes and the under 20 athletes take to the course to compete for the Senior World Championship. So it's a wonderful opportunity for Australian Masters athletes that I'd encourage everyone to grab a hold of. We just see Robin Basman getting the bell as well. I'm sure she'll be lining up in Bathurst. But Emma O'Sullivan here for Athletics Wollongong, as we mentioned, seed time of 5:35, going to be just outside that. But still holding a form well into the straight. Been a lonely run out front in pretty gusty and windy conditions here at Kerryn McCann. About 5:40 or thereabouts.
And Sally Hunt, Sally Hunt leading the 60 to 64 year category. And coming to the home straight now. She went through in 3:13 through the halfway, so just a slight positive split here for Rosemary, but a fantastic race. Yeah, another inspiring performance here by Hills District athlete Sally Hunt. You can see working hard just behind her. She's had excellent race as well there for Mingara Athletics, but Rodinger comes across the line 6:34 unofficially there, and just behind her Sally Hunt. Two stalwarts of New South Wales women's masters distance running. They do absolutely everything, and so does Robin Basman crossing the line there 6:45 unofficially for the St George athlete. And high fives just off camera between those three ladies. And this is Fiona Byrne of Sutherland Districts, who will take out the 50 to 59 year women's age category. So well done to all five ladies there in an entertaining 1 mile Masters Championship race.
Okay, so moving on to the next race on our program, we'll be moving on to the Men's Masters Mile, and hopefully be a bigger field here and indeed some good entries in it, especially some of the younger age groups. It should be a pretty competitive race here. Chris Gatt for Delta Earl O'Brien for West, Russell Taylor for Kembla, Brett Matheson for Westfields, Nathan Shute for UTS North, Andrew Cross for Sutherland, Tony Sinaboldi for Bankstown, Ken Wilson for East, Jason Wendt for Sutherland, Brad Sharp for Norths, Wayne Cooper for East as well, Peter Hutton of the New South Wales Masters, Michael Donnelly of Randwick Botany, and James Harrison lines up in the 80 plus category for Bankstown.
Oh, if you don't mind.
Father of Jamie Harrison, of
Yes.
course, of World Cross Country fame himself. So some pretty handy pedigree in that family.
Wow. Talking about inspiring. 80 plus. Fantastic.
There he is on the outside. Got the gloves on. Not too cool here in Wollongong, but each to his own.
We'll see a lot of gym over winter as well, won't we, as part of the 80 plus Bankstown men's team. There's 4 or 5 of them going around.
We'll still have 4, yeah.
Yep.
They're getting up there now, but
Have to create a new age category soon.
I've had that discussion a few times. Yeah. So off they go, and the Sutherland athlete right at the front of the field. Just trying to work out who that is. Andrew Cross, yeah, the 51-year-old. Gets right up the front, and number 2, Earl O'Brien for Wes, just sitting in behind him, but he's off like the clappers here. Cross, back straight for the first time.
Good athlete, Andrew Cross. This might be a pretty quick start from him, but he is a class athlete, and you'd expect him in this field to take this one out, but this is motoring at the moment from Andrew Cross. As you mentioned, 51 years old. Be very interesting if Darren Purcell was in this race. I think they're in the same age group, but Andy on his own today and motoring along. Earl O'Brien in second at the moment. Ken Wilson of Athletics East in third, but this could be a solid performance here if you can keep this up.
So coming through 400 and about 65 and about 66 through 408. He's absolutely ticking along, isn't he? And a decent field in behind him. So I'm just getting a bit of an easier start list to work with here. So heading up the back straight, it is Cross with a pretty solid lead on the field here. And there's a big field just coming through the start-finish line now, so obviously hard to capture all of these guys, but we'll get them a little bit later in the race. Cross working his way up the back straight through 600 now and about 140 thereabouts, so geez, really good running there. And we'll start to pick up some of the athletes in behind him as he comes into the straight for the second time. Really, again, holding form nicely, just like Emma O'Sullivan in the race before. And you can see there on screen the gap here has opened up to the rest of this field. It's an absolute decimation at this point. You've got to go back 100 metres to pick up the next couple, and you can see there just in the back of picture how spread out they are. So Cross went through 800 and about 215.
Well, there's a reason why he's in front, Matt. He is the New South Wales record holder for the men's 50 miles. So 4:40.93, and sorry, I've just brought this up off the New South Wales Masters Athletics website, and actually he set that at the Albert Thomas Mile, Matt. So very new record that well, if he's had another 6 weeks of training under his belt, he might very well break today.
Absolutely. All records set at the crest, we know that, in the middle distance. I tell you what, that last mile as we had there just before Christmas as well was, I don't know what was going on, but it was a night of PBs. So I think 4 more milers meets for the middle distance community post-Christmas this year. Don't be deceived, that's just some warming up happening in the background. That's James Harrison on screen there, as we mentioned earlier, in the 80 plus team. I need to get him a new Bankstown kit, but that's all right. We'll probably forgive James for that. So this will be the bell for Cross, 326 through 1200, about 328 through 1208. So
needs to close in 71 here to get his own record in the men's, the New South Wales men's 50-54 record. So 4:40.93. He's set at the Albert Thomas Mile.
I think he'll be on here, which I mean, in these conditions, very, very windy. Absolutely no help out front. Remember, when he did that at Albie Thomas, that's all comers seating at Albie. So, unlikely he would have been out in front all by himself, unless he was a bit unlucky with the seating. So through the 200 now, I think that's it there, just behind that post. So about 4:09. So what's he got to close in there?
31 there. So it's going to be have to really start to motor.
Yeah, that's where he's actually getting that headwind all up the back straight there. So 440 not going to be on here, but a pretty impressive run from Cross in challenging conditions. And you can see how much more laboured his form is there compared to when he was coming down the straight previously, but nonetheless he's going to be just outside that record pace Jimmy was talking about, which in these conditions is a mighty run. So well done, Andrew Cross. 4:45 unofficial.
Great run. So looking back in the field, very fast finishing Ken Wilson, I think, tearing into the home straight here.
Yeah, that's over the back there, so from Athletics East.
Fantastic run for a very, very long time, Ken Wilson.
So he's going to come down and take out the 55 to 59 category. And just in behind him now is the West athlete. I think that's Earl O'Brien. So 5:16 or thereabouts unofficial. I think this is Earl O'Brien. And then that might be Russell Taylor in behind him for Kembla. It's hard to see without the hip numbers here. This is Tony Sinabaldi. Tony well. And
Nathan Shute here.
Yeah,
UTS North.
UTS.
So good run by Nathan.
As James Harrison just picks up the bell in the 80 plus category. Brad Sharp of UTS North, great athlete himself. And that's the New South Wales Masters athlete there, Peter Hutton, coming over the line, just ahead of Randwick Botany's Michael Donnelly. And another one of our Sutherland finishers. This will be Jason Wendt, I think.
Yes.
So he'll be second in the 55 to 59 category. Keep working through these. And Brett Matheson.
Brett Matheson, coach extraordinaire of Westfields Athletics. Good finish by him. As a very talented junior distance squad himself, both in the run and the race walk events. So good to see Brett doing his thing for Westfields Athletics today. And Wayne Cooper finishing off here for Athletics East, just outside that 6:30 mark for Wayne. Well, I hope the crowd gets up and about here for Jim Harrison. That's 82 years young. Extraordinary.
Yeah, remarkable athlete. Of course, now even in the Masters, but in his younger days, a remarkable athlete at open level as well. Here we go. His son, of course, represented Australia at the World Cross Country, but James Harrison here in a great display of Masters running.
Tell you what, we've seen
82 years of age, and the crowd is getting behind him.
We've seen some inspiring stuff here this season with Heather Lee, just turned 96. She got 4 million views on the Athletics New South Wales Facebook page. So Jim Harrison at 82, 14 years Heather's junior, but my goodness, very, very powerful images there in terms of what you can do with your body at 82 years of age. Great stuff.
Just ticked over in about 7:35 there for the mile, which is
it's just over 5 minute Ks, isn't it?
Yeah, not a whole lot slower than what I'd be running a mile in at the moment. At 31. Oh no, I'm 32 now, aren't I? Cheers. Anyway, so we're into the Opens now. And the first of our races, this will be the New South Wales Championship in the mile for the women. And there's our start list on screen there. Grace Pomeroy and Neve Allen of Kembla and Run Crew respectively, and another Kembla and Run Crew pair in Ruby McPhillips and Ruby Madden. Davina Smith runs for Sutherland, Erin Casillas for Westfields, Rosie Coper for Bankstown, and Claire Spicknell rounds out the field for Kembla joggers. Grace Pomeroy. Thanks, Jimmy. So confirmation that Grace Pomeroy is also in the under 20 age group, the sole entrant in that division, but obviously eligible to win the Open Championship if she's good enough.
I think Rosie Cooper that is there for Delta Rain Project as well, so I'm not sure what happened with the club there, but you can see the Delta singlet. She'll come in as one of the probably joint favourites here. I should say Neve Allen goes in as favourite, but Rosie will certainly be in contention with a medal. Ruby Madden here for Runker, and Davina Smith has also had a good season thus far for Southern Districts. You can see the light blue strip there just in the middle of the screen. So a small field, but this will be an interesting race, this one. The open and under 20 combined women. And Davina Smith goes to the front of the field with Rosie Cooper just settling behind her. In comes the Kembla Joggers athletes, Ruby McPhillips.
Interestingly, Neve Allen just got spat right out the back, or was happy just to go out steady. You can see there in hip number 2, third last in the run at the moment, just getting up onto the shoulder of McPhillips and just advancing away through the field now, but just interesting, slowly away there from the race favourite.
You probably don't need to go out too quick. We know how challenging the conditions are up the back straight in particular, and Neve just now settling into that front pack of 3 with McPhillips just a stride or 2 behind Grace Pomeroy in the under 20s in hip number 1. She sits in 5th, and the KJ's athlete Claire Spicknell, I think that is, in hip number 8. She's currently just sitting side by side with Grace, but Davina Smith leading proceedings, and it's going to be pretty quick through the first lap, 72.
Solid. And Neve Allen, interestingly, they're happy to go 3 wide into the turn to come around the shoulder of Copa and pick up the lead of this race. This Copa, isn't it?
Rosie Cooper, sorry, that's just so we've got
issues there.
A club and a
name on the start list. That's all right. So Allen at the front of the field from Cooper now, and Davina Smith just sitting 3rd in the run. So you can see a lead pack of 3 here, happy to sit up there. They're about 69.70, I think, through the 408.
It'll be interesting to see what Neve does here, sitting on the front. Probably just thinking, when's the point in time where I want to break open this race? Bronze medalist from New South Wales 3,000 metre championships. I think she ran about 9:12 from memory last night. So she is a very, very class athlete, the Irish national, joining Runker in the last 12 months. And
so Cooper and Smith boxing on reasonably well here, and Smith happy to come out to the outside and the shoulder of Cooper, try and go past, and not able to just yet, but just only get a now. So through 800 and about 2:23 or thereabouts. So it did slow a little bit from the first lap, and they've run about a 73 or thereabouts for the second.
So Davina Smith locked in on Neve Allen at the moment. Rosie Cooper just trying to stay with them at the moment, maybe just dropping off a little bit now. So she'll fight well to stay in contention here, but she is a long way ahead of her other open contenders in Erica Casillas and Claire Spicknell, and also Ruby Phillips as well. So might be a race of 2 just shaping up here.
Looks like it. So through the 1,000 now, and about 3:02, just to give you the sense of the pace that these ladies are running at 3-minute Ks. And you can see there the stiffness of the flag, so they're right into that headwind, and they'll start to get the tail as they swing around into the straight and around the first turn. It's just shifted slightly. But Allen on the front of the field, they'll see a very welcome 1 on the lap board as they come into the straight. Smith boxing on well here, and
she looks really comfortable actually, and Neve Allen's just working hard to stay in front.
Looks to be labouring there, doesn't she? So through the bell in 3:37, and that was about a 74. So they've gone 70, 73, 74 thereabouts for the first 3 laps of this New South Wales Mile Championship. And you'd like to think the moves are going to come up the back straight if they do, but Allen, notwithstanding the laboured expression, able to open up a gap of a couple of metres or so to Davina Smith, who's not able to go with her just at the minute. We'll see if Allen's able to sustain this run through the final 250 metres, but just at the moment it doesn't look like Smith has a response.
It's a big move, 300 metres to go, right as you approach that headwind, that's when it came, and Neve Allen, a very strong last 100 metres to put in a gap of about 8, maybe 10, 12 metres now, and Davina Smith will have to pull a K out of the bag to get this open title. I think it might be a little bit too much. Neve Allen coming into the home straight for Run Crew. Smith is boxing on well, but it might be a little bit too much. It's going to be well inside the 5-minute mark in tough conditions here, particularly on the back straight in Wollongong, but Neve Allen will take out the Open New South Wales Women's Mould Championship in 4:49 unofficially. Davina Smith gets the silver, 4:52 unofficially for her in a pretty entertaining two-way race. Rosie Cooper gets the bronze for the Delta Running Project, 5:03 unofficially for her. And brave performance there by the pink and blue. First of our Kembla joggers athletes coming down here. That's Claire Spicknell, I think, working through the field there to finish 4th. Then comes Ruby McPhillips and Grace Pomeroy taking out the under-20 title there as the Kembla joggers go 4th, 5th and 6th overall to round out the field.
So nice running there from Allen and Smith at the front in particular to battle out the New South Wales title. A nice shot of Del Warwick on screen. And you can see there the boys getting moved out there quite quickly. So let's have a look at this field for the Men's New South Wales Mould Championship for 2023. This and the 60 metre titles, the first championships to be decided in calendar year 2023. And there's the start list on screen as the boys have their last runs up the straight. Zachary Johnson for Run Crew, Blake Charman and Jonathan McClellan, both of Sutherland districts. In 2 and 3, Isaac Shaw of Bankstown. Luke Young makes the trip all the way down to Wollongong from Newcastle to line up here. Ben Jagger of Run Crew, Cameron Panisini of Nsw. Harry McGill comes up from Narraway to run for Bankstown. Tom March and Finley McPhillips, both of Kembla. Jordan Anderson of Sutherland District. Stefan Music goes in as the likely favourite for Randwick Botany. Daniel Shoughton of Nepean and Cameron Dodds of Bankstown rounds out a big field for Bankstown. So a pretty handy field here for the Men's Mile Championship of New South Wales. It's got no standout megastar in it, as we mentioned. Obviously the 2K relay Australian selection trials for the World Cross Country in the morning have taken quite a few athletes out of this field, but an opportunity here in a race you wouldn't expect to go out particularly quick, given that most of these athletes at the top end are around that sort of 3:45 mark for 1500. You wouldn't expect to see a sub 4 mile, so it'd be fascinating to see the tactics here as to whether the top seeds in the race like Music are going to take up the running and try and move it along, and especially with that headwind up the back straight, risk getting shot at, or whether they're going to be happy to dial it up in the later stages of the race.
Yeah, absolutely.
Likely tactical affair.
One athlete I was really looking forward to see was Ben Jagger. He's not on the start line at the moment, but he's been winning basically everything he's gone in recently, and PBing. I keep saying his name, and there's a reason for that. So a little bit disappointing. I'm sure he's might be at one of the training camps happening up in the Blue Mountains at the moment. So, but we do have Zach Johnson, who is another in-form athlete from the Run Crew squad. He's on the inside there in 1. Luke Young, awesome to see him back. We only see him once or twice a year, but every time we do, he seems to pick out medals. So he goes in the black strip there for Newcastle Flyers as the gents are off, and it's a tight start. I think Zach Johnson just boxed in on the rail, might just take up the very early running in this one. The Sutherland athlete might be Jonathan McClellan, just on his shoulder it is, and then comes Tom March of Kembla joggers. Luke Young sits 4th in the run, just boxing on the rail. Isaac Shaw of Bankstown Sports, but it's slowed up, Matt.
Yep, got to answer straight away, didn't we? Just for those watching on screen, that clock is a couple of seconds behind, so just keep that in mind. But you can throw a blanket over them as they go through the first 200. We've had an immediate answer to the question we asked before the race, and as we expected, it's going to be a tactical affair as they run through the first 300, and McClellan at the front for Sutherland, just on the inside there of Tom March of Kembla. Zachary Johnson for Run Crew getting a lovely little sit in behind them. Just having a look on the outside there. Stefan Music is happy to sit right back in the field there. He's probably 4 or 5 pairs back. Cameron Dodds just tucking in behind him. Sharp in there as well in the Bankstown kit, but only about 4 or 5 metres covering them all as they run through the first 400 in about 70 seconds or so, which is not far off what the women went through in.
Yeah, Finlay McPhillips just taking up the running now. He's had enough of this dawdling pace and has decided to actually pick it up to something a little bit more respectable. Tom March, his teammate, sits in the one crew 1-2. A couple of joggers 1-2 at the moment. And Jonathan McClellan just sitting behind. Luke Young, it's going to be really interesting to see what he can do if he finds himself into a tight tactical affair with 400 to go, because he's picked up open medals time and time again. I remember a race in State 3K about 3 years ago, Matt, where he went through the bell in about 8th and somehow ran away with a bronze medal. So we're just starting to see that move from Luke Young now past the shoulder of Tom March, and this is ominous from the Newcastle Flyers athlete Zacharias Johnson responding now, because he knows that kick of Luke Young, how good it is, and Music is starting to get interested in moving towards the front as well.
Yeah, Zachary Johnson, you could see he got himself spat right off the rail so he could get up onto the shoulder of Young. 2:14 as they go through, so they did dial it up there about 64. So much more respectable second lap there. As they head up the back straight, and Stefan Music now has found his way to the front of the field, just in front of Luke Young there. And Zachary Johnson gets the nice little sit in third. So they've started to string out now. The full field, which was running together, has now been whittled down to about 8 of them. And Stefan Music, who you'd probably have in here as the top seed, finds himself at the front of the field as they run through the 1,000 metres in about 2:48. So again, just in context, only about 12 seconds quicker than the women, which shows you how slow that first lap was. But gap starting to form at the front of the field now with Music and Young, and then Johnson leads the pack.
Yeah, Music just dialing things up. He is a 4:02 mile. Ran that Lakeside last year. I think it might have been one of the Vic Miles events. So he certainly knows how to go well over the 16:09 distance. Luke Young is going with him, and this is really breaking this field apart now. Zach Johnson now leads the chase pack in third, but Music just has a little look around, and he sees that figure of Luke Young. It's an ominous one. What are we going to see down the back straight here? We saw Neve Allen with 300 to go break them apart. Is Music going to do the same, or is Young going to come over the top, which he's looking to do now?
Well, I was just going to ask the question, where do you make the move, right? Do you go up the back straight into the headwind? And Young did peel off the shoulder of Music and look to try to do that, but as soon as you do that, you're straight into the headwind. He's managed to go past him here, but how much has he spent doing it into the headwind? Music not necessarily gone here as they round the bend with 120 to run.
So Music's trying to fight on, but Luke Young, or is it, yes, the Bankstown athlete from absolutely nowhere, Harrison McGill, gets himself into the picture. So all of a sudden there's battle for silver and bronze all over the place. Luke Young is tearing away though. He's going to take the title for Newcastle Flyers. An excellent move down the back straight. Music's just going to hold on to silver, and what a finish there by Finlay McPhillips of KJ's. They came into the shot from nowhere. It was Harrison McGill of Bankstown Sports that we saw first, but in a dip on the line, Finlay McPhillips picks up the bronze for KJ's on his home track. An excellent finish there. But Luke Young just too good over that last lap, and it was a telling move just before the 200 metre mark. Let Music take up most of the win before he made that decisive move.
Yep, just let him spend the chocolates, didn't he? And made a good tactical move there. We said at the start of the race we expected it to be tactical, and so it proved to be. It was pretty obvious 100 metres in that they weren't interested in the clock today, and given the conditions, they're to be forgiven for that. So a really strong tactical race there. Thought Zachary Johnson might be in it for a bit longer, but did his best at the start of the field. Start of the race was certainly there with them, and just couldn't keep the pace with them as Young and Music wound it up. But good racing there for the 2 state mile championships, especially when you consider that some of the field has got some bigger fish to fry in the morning in Canberra. And a couple of handy 3K races coming up here as well. The start team over there.
As you mentioned, Matt, big field of 25 here for the men's 3K. It is headlined, at least on paper, by Harm Shapp, 8:42 athlete, but a couple of others under that 9-minute mark as well. Todd Peters from St. George As I think we've got a bit of a typo there with the men's list, Matt. Got the women there.
So that was
that's all right.
last night. Apologies for that, but that's the women's 3K. So ignore the 60-metre reference and the men's reference, but that's the start list there for the women's 3K event. You can see they're already on the start line, and I think there's been a change in timetable as well. So it looks like we're going with the men's first.
Yeah, so Harms Shap.
So I was just particularly tired last night.
No, you're right, mate. Bankstown Sports athlete Todd Peters here for St George, and also Sam Jones for Illawarra Blue Stars on his home track. They're the three athletes who come in with seeds well under the 9-minute mark. Then quite a few around that 9-minute mark, which is 3-minute Ks if you're following along, or 72-second laps. David Baker for Camden, Stefan Dean Smith of Camilla Joggers, Billy Zavansanos of Randwick Botany.
Pardon me, I've just put the wrong graphic up. There it is, the men's 3K. So got it right eventually, but that's the start list there for the men's 3Ks. As Jimmy mentioned, we won't go through all of them. There's a big field of 25, and good to see. Oh, just a test, Harm.
That was quite funny.
Just a test start.
He's ready to go. It's good to see.
So
he's not sleeping on the start line.
Just be a 0 start there for the photo finish team, which means we will not be far away at all. That was funny.
He's one of the characters of the Wollongong Track Club. Spends a lot of time down here as Harm, so you could basically consider this his second home track, along with the crest.
I wonder if Jackson Fitzgerald realises he's on camera there as he practices his basketball. He's some great work with us on the photography team here.
Yeah, he's a big Lakers fan, so we get along.
Here we go again. Analyse that form for us.
Well, he's just practicing his jump stop there. Really important to maintain a stable base, just like any good distance runner.
Oh, is that why I'm no good?
Actually, he took most of the photos that are part of the World Cross Country promotional materials. So him and Fred Edder are responsible for a lot of the imagery you're seeing on the WA Bathurst 2023 socials.
Some crackers of me just really struggling to get up that hill for the third time.
Thankfully, I was too slow for him to get me on the 6K fun run.
So off they go in second to last race of the Illawarra Track Challenge for 2023, and this is the men's 3K with a big field of 25, and Harm Sharp clearly practiced his start nicely because he finds himself at the front of the field and got away nicely the second time of asking.
We'll have a look at the field as a whole. Sharp leads in appropriately hip number 1. Todd Peters of St George in 2. Sam Jones of Illawarra Blue Stars in 3. David Baker of Camden in 4. Stefan Dean Smith, another member of that Wollongong Track Club squad here, goes for Kembla Joggers. They have that good relationship between those two. He goes in 5. Billy Zavansanos of Randwick Botany in 6. Jaden Yu of UTS Norths in 7. Cody McClay of Kembla Joggers in 8. Cody Sullivan of KJs in 9. And Joshua Engel also of KJs in 10. Harrison Baxter of Nowra in 11. Cade Zavansanos of Randwick Botany in 12. Mitch Ryan, another one of the KJs WTC group, in 13. Nicholas McGill of Nowra Athletics in 14. Chris Gatt goes for the Delta Rowing Project in 15. Gary Howard of Run Crew, of course, co-founder and co-coach of the squad, he goes in 16. Hamish Duggan of Knox Grammar in 17. Caden Harrison of Blue Mountains in 18. Charles Jansen Van Redsberg of KJs in 19. Oliver Baxter of Nowra in 20. Mark Gerard of Bankstown Sports in 21. Cameron Baxter of Nowra in 22. Logan Hosking of Blue Mountains in 23. Matthew Westwood of Camden in 24. And Shay Casillas of Westfield's Athletics in 25, and Harm is going to run a time trial today.
He's going to have a lonely run out the front there. I was just saying that. So he went through 30, 31 thereabouts for the first 200, and then 134 for 600, so about a 64 second lap.
Unfortunately, we've had a couple of scratchings. I think Todd Peters and Sam Jones, who are the two other athletes under that 9-minute barrier on paper, leaves Harmshap well alone as the first seed, at least on paper. So we'll see how this one plays out. Goes through the 800 metre mark in about 2:09 or there or thereabouts. So about 64s to open here. Quick start from Harm. We'll go K-split as he finishes this home straight. And then looking behind, looks like David Baker there of Camden just leading Jaden Yu of UTS Norths, and then comes the the Randwick Botany athlete. Oh no, Sam Jones is there, so that's a little bit of a surprise. I thought Sam might be up there, and he looks to be grimacing just a little bit, so hopefully Sam's alright here. 255, yeah. That's surprising. I thought he'd be closer to Harm, but anyway, might be just sort of settling into the race. It was a very fast K from Harm. I think it was something like a 2:42, was it? Very, very quick indeed.
Maybe slightly slower than that, but that would have been a 58. So, probably 2:46 thereabouts. Yeah. Pardon me, 42. So about a 68 there if he's gone through. So he went through
2:42. Yes, thereabouts.
So 30, 64, 68. So yeah, going out very, very quickly, and I think that's what you made Sam.
That's the chase back. So look, he's moved onto the front of that chase back now. So yeah, maybe just building into this race is Sam, and the St George athlete there, I think, might be Todd Peters. So I think there's still going to be a mile to go when Harm hits the start line, which he does now. If he's gone out too hard here, and it is a windy day up the back, it's not out of the realm of possibility that he could yet fade. But Sam now sits at the front of this chase pack. To the extent we can call it that, with a gap of about, 60 metres or so, and 4 in it. I think what took me by surprise is that the faster seeds there of Todd Peters and Sam Jones just went out a little bit more conservatively, and now you can see why it's paying dividends with Sam Jones moving into outright second, Todd Peters trying to go with him, but David Baker and Jaden Yu just after a quick start just starting to fade a little now as we move past the halfway stage of this race. Those gents through the 1600 metre mark there.
So yeah, we'll get a shot here of Harm on screen. You can see there how much that lead has tightened up. So that was 70 metres or something at the start of this lap. It's probably down to about 50, 45. But it is tightening up a bit, so Harm now through in about 5:08 or thereabouts. And we'll get a bit of a gap here, so 5:17, 16 or those. So about 8 seconds the lead between Sharp and Jones. And you can see there the gap's really starting to open up in this field. And with a big field of 25, that's not surprising. Albeit we've had a couple of scratchings as well. I'm going to say work up the back. We're just having a look also at Todd Peters of St George on screen.
Jaden Yu just behind him. Yep. And looks like Harm's just found a little bit of a burst off camera there. I think he's just maybe reopened that gap to about 60 metres. So be interesting, as you said, Matt, to see the time difference between this lap, between him and Sam sitting in second.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's that much. It's definitely not 60 metres. I think it might have just been the far side of the track.
No, you're right.
So we had a look last time. The gap was 8 seconds when they went through last time. It was 5:08, so 6:21 for Harm. What's that, a 67 or thereabouts, and about 6:28. So yeah, it just come down maybe a second or so that lap, but Harm doing enough to maintain it, certainly. Just looking more pronounced on the bends, I think. And as you see Harm on screen now, just working up the back straight for what will this be, the second to last time.
Todd Peters in outright third there as well, looking pretty good.
Yeah, just the old telling dip of the head there from Harm. With 600 or so to run.
Not too far to go, mate.
Into the headwind, up the back, lap and a half to go.
I think it is closing a little bit to Sam. who
I tell you what, he did run that first K quick, 2:42. It's ticking along. I mean, it's 8-minute pace.
Yeah, it's 8:06 pace. It's flying.
So, I mean, that's 8:06 has won New South Wales 3K titles before. That's definitely closed up.
Oof. Be interesting. A lot of these local boys do a lot of training together, so a little bit of bragging rights on the line here as well.
Yeah, so 7:34, and he's going to have enough here, you would think, barring disaster, and 7:40. So down to about 6 seconds the gap.
Yeah, he's picked up too.
And Harm's just now kicked away. So
he was hanging out for that bell, wasn't he?
I'm looking forward to seeing his. I don't know, we're doing lap splits today, but I'll be looking forward to see those lap splits from Harm.
Tell you what, he's not going to be miles off his seed. 8:42 he's put down, so he's coming up to the 200 metre mark now with a little bit of pace behind him. He's past the headwinds, closed in 34, so we'll see if he can sneak under 8:42 he's put down.
Yeah, certainly that 8:06 schedule that he went through 1K in went out the window pretty quickly in the middle, but he's going to close nicely here the last 400. And Harm Sharp for Bankstown, also part of the Wollongong Track Club informal group down here. They put out some great content, and he's
getting under that
home
mark.
Track. Yep,
he's getting under that mark, so well done to Harm. Nice finish there. 8:37 unofficially.
Did it the hard way, but got it done. And Sam Jones, as you say, got run away from there in the last 400, but going to do enough to come home and take second place.
And he comes in with 8:54, so might be a sneaky PB there for Sam Jones. And Todd Peters coming in with 8:50, just outside that. 8:55 unofficially there for the Red and Whites of St George for third. And hopefully those gents don't run through the line. They absolutely are, so hopefully that's not going to affect times. we're probably a barrier short here today at Kerryn McCann, but some good finishes there around about that 9:12 mark. Now athlete involved there. Harrison Baxter, big PB for him potentially. 9:24 he came into the race with, so good running there by Harrison. One of the Kembla Joggers athletes there. There's Mitch Ryan, one of the leaders of that Wollongong Track Club, does a great job. Great bloke and a great runner. 9:42 there for Mitch. And I think Charles Jansen van Resberg just in front of him as well, about 9:40 for Charles. There's one of the Blue Mountains athletes, Keaton Harrison, right around that 10-minute mark. And Oliver Baxter just outside 10 minutes as well there for now. And Hamish Duggan, young Hamish, finishing at about 10:12. A couple of more athletes still to come. There's Cameron Baxter, I think Oliver's brother, finishing at just about 10:20. And Matthew Westwood of Camden Athletics is going to be just outside 10:30, which is 3.5 minute Ks. Good running there from him. And an entertaining and high quality men's 3K, it must be said, comes to an end here with one more race to go in this year's Illawarra Track Challenge Women's 3K.
So on to go, as Jimmy says, we'll have a look at the start list on screen for the women's 3000. Finally got that one right. Bronwyn Hager's been running nicely lately for Delta. Georgia Phillips of the Wright Athletics Centre runs just on her outside. Olivia Savillas of Athletics Wollongong on the home track. And ditto for inside the Kembla trio of Chloe Pateman, Michaela McLean, Kate Geisen, Kira Casillas of Westfields, Rona McKibben of Athletics East, Ashley Gardner of Kembla Joggers, Ruth Costello, of Run Crew, Amy Timms of Cherrybrook, Jordan Martin of Kembla, Darcy Costello of Run Crew, and Jessica Khan of Bankstown. So that's the field for the women's 3,000 metres. They're just over the far side.
So just off camera, I was being told unofficially that Rosemary Rodinger has one of probably her 77 New South Wales Masters records. This one was in the 65 to 69 years women's mile. So congratulations unofficially there to Rosemary Rodinger, subject to ratification, of course. She tells me she was 10 seconds outside the national record, so maybe Albie Thomas next season, Matt.
Here we go. So underway with the last race of the evening here. What's been a fine Illawarra Track challenge, the Kerryn McCann Athletics Centre, and some fast starters on the outside there. Jessica Khan of Bankstown. Looks like the young seeds on the outside here have gone off pretty quickly, and just inside inside her is one of the Cherrybrook athletes, I think that is, Amy Timms, and Bronwyn Hagar just sitting on the back of Khan. Obviously all comers conditions here at 34 casually, if you don't mind, through the first 200 for Jessica Khan, and I expect that will probably have to ease up a little bit. Hagar sitting in second in a fine example of all-comers racing conditions. And into that headwind for the first time up the back straight. So going through the 400 in a moment, about 68 thereabouts, and they'll hit the 200 mark now at about 72, so at least it's calmed down from that.
That's flying.
Very fast first 200. Still very quick for the 4.
Jeez.
And Hagar now just getting onto the back of young Jessica Khan.
What's Jess's time coming into this one? That is flying.
No seed time on the list, is there? I'll be very surprised if they keep that up, put it that way.
She is one of the up-and-coming stars of the Limitless track team, I think. Coached by Ondays
Group.
Yep. So, she is a fine junior, and Bronwyn now just moving past her shoulder. As you mentioned, Matt, she had a couple of really nice 5Ks to end 2022, a couple of PBs, right around that 17-minute mark she ran.
Back from another baby as well,
I think she's pregnant at the moment, actually.
Oh, right.
So, it's even more impressive. She's running this well and running PBs as well. It's just really, really impressive, and she's fit.
Recollection she was on a big marathon build last year, and I think maybe ran it at Sydney, perhaps.
I think it was either Sydney or Melbourne. She might have gone right around that 250 mark.
Yeah,
she's certainly a class athlete.
Run.
Yeah, class athlete, and she's just getting better on the track. The range that she has is quite extraordinary. Right near you'd say the very top of the sub-elite range in Australia, in terms of, if you're running 245, 250 as a female marathon in Australia, right up there in most races.
Absolutely. Especially if you're not, full-time professional athletes.
Yeah.
It's marathon training in particular is fairly time-consuming. And Jessica Khan boxing on very nicely here. Obviously, really dialed it up the first 2 and 400, but this will actually suit her perfectly after that quick start to get a bit of a sit on Hagar, especially the break and the draft up the back straight. So 3:14 through there. So just work that out. So what's that? Another 82
and 9:42 pace. They're currently operating at 3:14s. This is good here from Jessica Khan. She can hold on here, particularly on these back straights as well, where it'll become most critical to try and get an athlete blocking the wind. And Bronwyn's a strong runner though. She can certainly deal with a bit of a headwind. And a seasoned marathoner. Good two-way battle, as you mentioned, Matt. The open athlete versus the young junior. Great to see.
So I'm just having a little bit look a bit further back in the field, which unfortunately I'm not going to be a hope of seeing hip numbers from here, but we'll see a bit of them as they come into the straight now. And Hagar still doing the work on the front of Khan, who was obviously the early leader, but we'll start to see some of these athletes in the back of shot here. And you can see there, I think that's from Athletics Wollongong, Olivia Civilis. And in behind her might have been Chloe Pateman of Kembla Joggers, 4:33. as they run through. So another, what's that, 79. So up the back straight, and Hagar now just starting to open up that gap slightly on Khan.
Do you mind just getting some of the chase back as well when you get a chance? Thanks.
We'll just have a little bit of a look further back in the field as they come around into the straight the next time around. Not 2K there, is it? No, one more to go before we get to 2K.
Just having a look at Jessica Khan's potential PB, 10:12 she ran in the New South Wales 3,000 metre championships earlier this season. It came 5th in the women's B race, 10:12 flat, so that might be the mark that she'll be looking at.
So yeah, just getting on shot now, Olivia Civilis of Athletics Wollongong, and it is indeed Chloe Pateman of Kembla Joggers in behind her.
Mummy's coming down and getting a big cheer from her she comes down in 3K.
Olivia Civilis ran 11:28 at the New South Wales 3K champ, so she's well in front of that mark at the moment. Yeah, Athletics Wollongong athlete.
It is a good shot there. So just having a look at some of the hip numbers here. So Ruth Costello of Run Crew in the black on the outside there, just in the back of picture, and Rona McNiven, pardon me, of Athletics East, just on the inside. And some of the Kembla crop tops there as well. So a bit of a pack running here together as they come through in about 6:25. That's the 1800 mark.
The KJ girls working well together there.
Yep. State rep briefs there, so some New South Wales junior reps here. And just having a look back there, that's Georgia Phillips of Ride, just sitting on the back of that pack. And that looks like Kate Geisen just in front of her, and Michaela McLean inside there too. But Ash Gardner of Kembla just sitting on the front of this group here. As mentioned, Jimmy, a few of the Kembla athletes in there working together.
Oh, it's really interesting as well, because you mentioned how windy the track is here. You can see the Kembla girls just working really well together. There's 4 of them in that pack of 5, so they understand the conditions here. Running regular Tuesday night track nights they do here at Kerryn McCann, so a bit of a home ground advantage maybe playing a part in these 3K races for the hometown athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a really good turnout tonight from the Kembla athletes, the Athletics Wollongong athletes, Illawarra Blue Stars obviously as well, the host club. Always good to see. The Illawong club obviously well represented in the sprints, and Campbelltown Norths. There's been some fine racing this afternoon, especially in the hundreds and the 60 metre championships. Some big tailwinds and some fortunate boys in the men's 100 to get that 2.0.
You'll just go back to the leader. She's just coming into the home straight now. When you're ready, or just follow her to the end. Thanks.
So they're going to pick up the bell here at the front of the field, and Bronwyn Hager still sitting on the front here. The Jess Khan has been able to box on pretty solid here. As you can see her in the back of shot there, about 50-60 metres off Hagar, who takes the bell on 8:35.
Well, this is going to be sub 10, I reckon, here for Bron. Very, very good running indeed. She went through the first K in 3:14, has maintained it very nicely, and we saw how hard Harm did it from a 2:42 first K, and faded quite a bit. Finished okay, but this has been outstanding from Bronwyn Hagar. Yeah, another distance track race to go in the books, and I reckon we're looking at another PB 10:10 she has coming into the race, and she's going to go well under that 10-minute mark. So fantastic from Bronwyn Hagar of the Delta Running Project. 9:14 with 200 metres to go. I reckon we're looking around about that 9:50, 9:52 mark if she can come home well.
Does look to be running it out well, doesn't she? Strong form. The arm's starting to come across now, but you'd expect that 2900 in. And it's been a fine performance by Hager. Didn't get too carried away with the 34-second first 200 at the start. A fine performance here. Will be under 10 for sure. And the evergreen Bronwyn Hager puts in a fine performance to win the women's 3K. About 9:54 unofficial.
Excellent running there.
And a well-deserved sit down. Jessica Khan will be second in the race, the youngster out of Bankstown and the Limitless Track team. About 10:06, a fine run for her as well.
Okay, PB there by 6 seconds for Jess.
Yeah, these athletes will all be getting the bell, I think.
Yep.
And we'll have this pack coming in behind now for the Athletics Wollongong athlete. That's Olivia Sevillas.
Massive run there. So she's gone a minute quicker than her 3K time from the champs. So great performance there by the Wollongong athlete for third.
Very nice finish there by one of the Kembla athletes. I think that's Michaela McLean. Or maybe Ashgard. No, I think it was McLean. And the Kembla trio all coming in now. I think that's Ash Gardner there on screen now.
Yeah, I think you're right. Ruth Costello there of Run Crew. I think backing up after the mile. So impressive there from the Run Crew athlete. Might be extended effort. She looks fit as a daisy as well. So a couple of boys just continuing their cool down.
Teach some guys about walking through finish lines here. That's all right.
Well, photo officials don't seem too concerned, so if they've got under control, then we're happy too.
Walking through camera shots as well, but it's getting late in the day here at the Illawarra meet. The Cherrybrook athlete here, Amy Timms, 15-year-old, 11:29. Seed time going to be about half a minute or so outside of that.
Ciara Casillas here of Westfields Athletics, finishing off. Rona McNiven of Athletics East. Just outside, 12 minutes there for Rona, so 4-minute Ks for her. Good effort. And yeah, the families have come out now. It is that time of day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wrapping up proceedings.
And I think this is wrapping up our field now, isn't it? Is that Ruth Costello, is it? No, just picking up a bell.
So it was Jordan Martin there, just finishing for Kembla Joggers. And this Darcy Costello, yeah, so she will be completing her final lap here as well.
So fine turnout today here at the Illawarra Track Challenge. As we mentioned earlier in the program, some fantastic running in the men's 100 in particular before we came on air, aided by a lovely 2.0 tailwind. It's one of those frustrating days for sprinters where they run quick, but lots of illegal tailwinds with a 4 in front of them. So things were plenty of illegal times, unfortunately, but at least they got the chance to run quick and kick off calendar year 2023 with some fast times on the board, albeit windy.
I think highlight of the day has to be Kamara's personal best early in the day. I know it wasn't on the live stream, but that 10:26. You can actually watch the Open 100 metre A race videos on our Facebook and Instagram. So if you want to catch Ishmael, Josh, Seb, and the rest of the field, as well as the women's race, Monique Quirk running 11:56 with a legal 1.8 tailwind, just behind Ebony Lane and Kasia Priacek having a good PB run as well. So you can watch those 100 metre A races for the men and women on our socials. With our final competitor of the day coming across the line here, Darcy Costello, nice finish from the Run Crew athlete, and she'll finish right around the 14-minute mark.
Nice running. So that rounds out proceedings here in the women's 3K and for the Illawarra Track Challenge. Been a fine afternoon and evening of racing here. A big thank you to the Illawarra Blue Stars Club and to the Athletics New South Wales team and officials for putting on the first meet of calendar year 2023. It's a big season coming up, as we mentioned earlier in the program. If you haven't yet got your tickets for the Sydney Track Classic, make sure you do that with the code on screen. And similarly, the first ever Senior World Championship to be held in Australia is going to take place in our very own backyard at Bathurst on the 17th to 19th of February. Come up and run in any of the mass participation races. There's something for everyone, from 1 lap of the course to 5 laps of the course, the full championship distances. Something there for everyone to run on the World Championship course, both before and after the best in the world. Come and do it and battle for the World Championships. And everyone who enters the mass participation races will also get a ticket to watch the best in the world go at it. Come and support the first ever World Championship at senior level in Australia. But for the time being, it's a big thank you from all of us here at Wollongong. From Jimmy and myself, thanks for joining us for the 2023 Illawarra Track Challenge. I think next time we'll see you on broadcast will be for the New South Wales 5,000 metre championships at SOPAC. Thanks everyone, have a good night.